The Book of Revelation for the World Today, a chapter-by-chapter study of what God has revealed about the future. Welcome to the Book of Revelation for the World Today. We will be reading from the Bible, from Revelation chapter 18, verses 9 to 19. It describes the fall of political Babylon, which is Rome, and the reactions that come from royalty and merchants around the world because of her fall. This is prophetic, what will happen in the future. Before we read our text, let me say that we're looking at a vision of what will happen on earth. And next week we will see heaven's reaction to the fall of Babylon or Rome. The reactions are opposite. The world laments and cries in despair, while in heaven there is rejoicing because justice has been served. Let me read verse 8 to 10. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived luxuriously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, this great city, Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Chapter 17 describes the religious or ecclesiastical fall of Babylon. Chapter 18, which we're reading today, describes the political fall of Babylon. When both are destroyed, it rids the world of the major evils that have plagued the human race. The destruction of religious Babylon happens in the middle of the 7 years of tribulation. But the destruction of the commercial and political system, as in our text, takes place at the end of the Great Tribulation. As we have seen in the past weeks, Rome is the revived political city of the Babylonian Empire. This city is said to be eternal. And the Pope not only rules over the whole Catholic religion, but also rules over Rome. The Holy See. The Holy See is the office of the Bishop of Rome, and he is the Pope. The term Holy See also refers to the central government of the Roman Catholic Church. The confusing thing is that the Pope lives in the country of Vatican City, and there he rules as king. The king of Vatican City has absolute, unchecked power within the country's borders, and his presence makes Vatican City one of the only 6 remaining absolute monarchies in the world. The king's absolute power is why Vatican City cannot join the European Union. Only democracies are allowed. Though Vatican City has a legislative branch of government, staffed by cardinals, appointed by the Pope, the King of Vatican City can overrule their decisions and at any time and for any reason. So why do we hear very little about the King of Vatican City? Because though King and Pope are 2 different roles, they just happen to be occupied by the same person at the same time, which has a weird consequence. It makes Vatican City the world's only elected, non-hereditary, absolute monarchy. The Pope can either act as the king of the country of Vatican City or act as the Pope of the Holy See. This is one thing that doesn't change. Catholicism is based in Rome. The Pope rules over Rome as bishop or pope, and he lives in the Vatican having an estimated wealth of about $10 to $15 billion. Of this wealth, are Italian stock holdings of up to $1.6 billion. 15% of the value are of listed shares on the Italian market. The Vatican has big investments in banking, insurance, chemicals, steel, construction, and real estate. We're going to look today at the reaction of the people in the world to Babylon's fall or to Rome's fall. And next week we will see how the Christians react to the fall of Babylon. Remember, this is future. We'll talk about it as if it's past, because that's the way John saw it in his vision. There are two groups of people in the world that are mentioned in our text that have a shocking reaction to this fall: royalty and merchants. There is a lot said about this fall, and we are not to neglect the facts and truth concerning the fall of Babylon. We'll start with royalty's reaction to Babylon. Verse 9 says, "And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived luxuriously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning." When Rome falls and is destroyed, there is a massive impact. The fall of Rome, or political Babylon, will be the end of the prosperity of the world. The world will end up wailing at the fall of Rome. The goods listed in verses 12 to 13 are goods that traded through the might of the Roman Empire, and their economy is crushed. All the luxuries and splendors that the people enjoyed are gone. Rome receives a double measure of retribution because of her corruption. Her willful sin against God is now to be rewarded with torment and sorrow. Her wishful thinking, which she said in verse 7, "I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow," is going to be rewarded by sudden destruction, which, according to verse 8, will come in one day in the form of plagues, death, mourning, famine, and by fire. Rome is called by the world, it's called the Eternal City, but it will be the first great city to be destroyed. Our text tells us the kings of the earth marvel at the destruction of the seemingly infinite power of the capital of the world empire. They not only mourn, they are overcome with fear. And for this reason, they stand afar off. How sad it is. The hour of judgment is sad when you consider it's too late now for mercy. Notice they keep their distance for fear that they also may go up in flames. If they get too close, that's what would happen. This is total annihilation by fire. No rescue efforts are taking place. It's stay clear or die. This is the evidence that a real city is in view. The fall of political Babylon represents the fall of a system that affects the entire world. Many have surmised that this may be computer headquarters that coordinate the empire of the Antichrist. Whatever it is, it certainly seems this was corporate headquarters of the world's economy, and it represents the collapse of the world's economy. The second group of people that lament their loss are the merchants. The merchants' reaction to Babylon's fall. Verse 11 says, "And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore." Not only are the merchants and traders devastated by the fall of political Babylon, which is Rome, but the shipmasters and seafaring men also lose their wealth and business. It had built an amazing trade city called Portus, just west of Rome, that did sit on the sea. The Tiber River runs between Portus and Rome, and archaeologists revealed the massive amount of trade that went through Portus on its way to Rome. All the captains lose their business. All the sailors no longer have work. Their cry is an accurate description of the greatness that Rome was. They say, where is there another city as great as this? Now, the great city is now gone. The same three groups wail at the fall of ancient Babylon in Ezekiel chapter 37. It is the end of the empire. The rich character of the merchandise they once traded is itemized in verses 12 and 13. Take the time to read it, beginning with precious stones and costly metals down to the souls of men. They traded souls of men, including slave trafficking. The combined picture of what they sought after was the wealth of this world with total disregard to God. According to a report by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, we come to the conclusion that 5% of the world's population are rich people who own almost 75% of the world's wealth. They're going to be the ones that will lament when they experience the world's economic crash. The less happy one becomes is when they lose their riches. A study published in February 2018 in the journal Nature's Human Behavior found that once a household income reaches $105,000 or more in the United States, it tends to be associated with a reduced life of satisfaction and a lower level of well-being. And it's not just adults who are impacted by this phenomenon. Children who come from affluent families are more likely to suffer from depression and anxiety, substance abuse, more than those who come from less affluent families. What the human being needs is a born-again nature, where satisfaction is found not in things, but found in the person of Jesus Christ, the Savior. In a study a couple of years ago, researchers asked more than 2,000 people who had a net worth of at least $1 million, therefore asking multimillionaires, how happy they were on a scale of 1 to 10. And then how much more money would they need to get to 10? All the way up the income wealth spectrum, it was said, basically, everyone said they needed 2 or 3 times as much of what they had to be perfectly happy. The last commercial corruption that is abolished with the fall of political Babylon or Rome is the slaves they possessed in body and soul. Verse 13 says they were commercializing slaves and souls of men. The slave trade will reappear in Antichrist's debauched commercial system. Prophecy tells us that slavery of souls and bodies will be in full force in the end times. Here in the United States, human trafficking has been reported in all 50 states, with particularly high rates in California, Texas, Florida, and New York. The United States is considered one of the top destinations for human trafficking victims in the world. Globally, the International Labor Organization estimates that 5.5 million children are victims of trafficking and forced labor. 68% of trafficking victims globally are in forced labor and exploited in agriculture, construction, domestic work, and sex. Human sex trafficking is the most common form of modern-day slavery. Estimates place the number of its domestic and international victims in the millions, mostly females and children. Human trafficking operates on principles of supply and demand. The demand for commercial sex and cheap labor puts children throughout the world at risk of becoming the supply only because the world is in a wicked position today. Human trafficking generates an estimated $150 billion in yearly profits. It shouldn't be a surprise that the Roman Catholic Church is heavily involved in sex trafficking. Our text says that it will be. There are multitude of nuns who innocently join the order of nuns. They go through a ceremony where they are married to Christ. The Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches that all nuns are mystically betrothed to Jesus Christ. In the actual marriage ceremony, a young woman dresses in white and makes a public vow to the church. After this public profession, the young woman is told that she has become the bride of Christ and must consecrate herself to God until death. In this subtle way, the Catholic Church enslaves young women. She leaves all her friends and having previously taken the white veil, the betrothal, she now assumes the black and forever forsakes the world and its pleasures. Her hair is cut short, her bridal robes are exchanged for the somber religious one. Her wedding ring, however, stays with her, and she's buried with it. But what she found was Rome's way of having sex slaves. The priests are called alter Christus, which means another Christ. So since the nun is married to Christ, and the priest is the Christ on earth, you now have corruption at its highest level. On February the 5th, 2019, according to NBC News, the headlines read, Pope Francis acknowledges for the first time sexual abuse of nuns by priests. Christ warned against coveting the wealth of this world when he said, Lay not up yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart also be. The destruction of Babylon, or the Roman Catholic Church in the future, will put an end to her outrageous control of the souls of men. No longer will the revived Roman Empire control the world religiously, politically, economically, or physically. It'll be ended. And may God grant us wisdom to take a biblical stand against such a hypocritical organization that calls itself Christian but promotes the doctrines of demons. Listen, the Lord is coming. You need to stand up for Christ until he comes. May God bless you and make you a blessing. Maranatha.